Hello. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. We're going to be chatting today about the truth about podcast marketing. My name is Aldwyn from the Gold Coast in Australia.
My name is Ken Kleinberg, coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego County, California.
And my name is Darren Saul, coming to you from Sydney, Australia.
And we'll be right back after this short introduction.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show, hosted by myself, Ken Kleinberg from San Diego County, California.
And I'm Aldwyn, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And our goal here on this show is to help you to break away from the mainstream media propaganda and lies, the disinformation and misinformation that's out there in the mainstream, and really help you to start questioning everything and start doing the research for yourself. We want to punch through all of that disinformation and misinformation. Our goal here is to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass and then pave the way for a new awakened civilization. And we would love for you to come along for the ride. Don't take our word for it. The things that we share here on the show, that goes for our guests too. Start doing the research for yourself. Start going and asking the questions for yourself. Get out there and really find the real truth behind things. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Oh, yes. Exciting episode today. I'm sure people can't wait to hear what you've got to share about podcast marketing, because we do know that 80% of anything we do, my friends, is marketing. So you can have the best show in the world. If no one knows about it, well, you will remain the world's best kept secret. So a little bit about our amazing special guest here today, Darren Saul. And of course, great to see you, my co-host, Ken Kleinberg from San Diego. Darren Saul is a serial podcaster, not just any old podcaster, a serial one. He's a strategist, a trainer, a coach, a keynote speaker, and a student of human attention. He started heavily utilizing the power of podcasting to build his photography business and was so amazed with the results that he never looked back. He's now an absolute podcast junkie who consults with organizations to help them get serious business results integrating podcasting into their marketing strategy. A podcast is not just a nice to have anymore. This is a must have. And he's so passionate about helping others develop, about getting results and feeling fulfilled also as marketers and entrepreneurs, and loves to share his stories, insights, and knowledge. And I've done some work with Darren, and he is awesome and very generous, I must say, with his information. So welcome along, Darren, our special guest, Darren Saul.
Thank you. What a lovely intro. Thank you, Aldwyn and Ken. Great to be here. I love the show, and I'm really looking forward to the chat.
My pleasure. So now you went from photography to podcasting. So when did this happen for you?
Yeah. So look, I've been photographing for quite some time, maybe about 10 years, doing lots of, different styles of photography. But probably about 6 years ago, I started thinking about a new way to market my photography business because things were changing.
Yes.
Yellow pages weren't working anymore. Banner ads don't work anymore. Letter drops didn't work anymore. Cold calling didn't work anymore. So a friend of mine actually got me introduced to digital marketing. And I just started learning and studying and diving into the world of social media and digital marketing. And podcasting came up on my radar. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to jump on this. And I just kind of went all in, hell for leather, and started doing podcast after podcast. Even during the pandemic, I was doing sometimes 3-4 shows a week. And it was amazing, how quickly the branding results came. And I thought this is an incredible tool to use forever.
Yeah, amazing. It is such a powerful tool and it has absolutely exploded. Now, the last stats that I've seen is podcasts. Back in 2018, there were 500,000 podcasts worldwide. Now we have 2.5 million podcasts. However,
Wow.
many of those episodes, there are no more than 3 episodes out there of many of those shows. And about 44% or so, no more than 10 shows done.
That's
And
right.
so having persistence and patience with this is so important, isn't it, Darren? Can you speak a little bit to that of what you've noticed of people starting shows and then giving up and thinking, oh, I'm not making money from this?
Absolutely. And I can honestly say, like, I've been doing this heavily for a good 4 or 5 years, and only now am I really starting to build some serious traction, and things are really starting to hit a little bit of a critical mass, because you have to put in the work to get the runs on the board. You have to have 200 or so episodes behind you. You have to have your systems in place. You have to be relaxed and prepared. So all this takes work, and it also takes time for your audience to get to know you and follow you and trust you. And it takes a while to build that publicity. You can't just do that overnight and expect the podcast to bring you incredible results in 3 months. You got to really put in the work, for sure.
Absolutely. Where's the patience nowadays? I say, it's such an instant society now. I mean, back in the film days, we had to have patience because you had to develop the negatives,
Right.
and then since social media came about and since digital photography, which I embraced, around the time that actually social media started, because really, like, Facebook started in 2004. I resisted digital photography. I'm a photojournalist by trade as well, and so I did a lot of film photography, and I was absolutely convinced that digital photography was not as good as film photography. And back in the day, it wasn't, because there was a delay when you took shots. And I thought, the skin tones aren't as good. But, it's amazing how far and fast the technology has grown. And if you don't move with the times, you are going to get left behind. And thank you so much to those joining us live here. We've got Lawrence King here. I have my own podcast. I've been doing it for 11 years now on LinkedIn. Congratulations. That's fantastic. We've got Jeff here from the Business Guru from Manila. Great to see you, Jeff. And Lawrence says building progress takes time. Absolutely. It takes time. And I'm finding also that, with the media world too, where once upon a time, you'd get one media spot in the local paper and suddenly you'd be able to fill a one media spot. Now, because there's so much information out there, it takes a lot more to actually get seen, heard, and known. Right,
100%.
a lot more, and having that patience is absolutely crucial. Now, Ken, you have your own show. You have your own show as well, Ken. How did you come to start your show?
That is a little bit of a long story, so I'm going to try to condense it, make it really, really short here in a nutshell. So, and it also includes a little bit of my elevator pitch, if you will, just to kind of give a little backdrop. So, I lost 62.5 pounds, and I have actually kept it off now for going on 6 years. And I've kept it off in a way to where I really don't even have to think about it, because it's just who I am. I think differently now. I became a different person. So not just physically, but mentally as well. And this up here, by the way, mentally, this is where the permanence happens. This is where you're going to get more of the long lasting results. So through through all of that, about 2 or 3 years ago, I started looking into a lot of different things, a lot of different subjects, a lot of things. And when I was looking at the health and wellness industry and the food industry out there, I was discovering a lot of lies that were being told out there in the industry. I was discovering a lot of deception. I was discovering a lot of mainstream propaganda. For example, you look up what's the best eating routine or something like that on Google, and you're going to get a lot of propaganda that talks about plant-based, that talks about vegetarians, that talks about, because that's the agenda out there. That's what they want you to believe. My research, however, like I said, just for example, my research, however, shows that actually eating animal-based and eating on an animal-based routine and not scaring away from saturated fats, not scaring away from meat and different things like that. Just again, to give you an example, my research shows how that is actually way beneficial for you nutrition wise, and you actually lose weight easier being on that kind of a routine. Plus, it's very satiating, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. And so it was, as I was diving into, like, if you will, all these little rabbit holes around the health and wellness industry and the food industry and all this other stuff, I began to just have such a passion. And so, I mean, not only do I teach my clients how to lose weight like I did and how to have that be sustainable, how to have that be without a diet, but I also educate them and give them the tools that they can take with them for the rest of their lives, so that they can bypass all of that propaganda that's out there. And so that's also kind of what caused me to birth my own personal podcast episode, is my passion to expose this stuff out there, my passion to tell what the real truth is around things. And again, that's also why I co-host this show with Aldwyn. Aldwyn and I kind of found a common synergy together around the passion about truth. And so not only do I have this show, the Total Truth Show, where we host, and it's a partnership there, I have my own podcast where I dive in really, really, really deep. So, for example, subjects about the lies around cholesterol, subjects about the low fat and fat free scam, just all of that stuff is, and there's many, 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 many more topics that I cover, but all of that stuff. Now, Darren, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
Now, I started my podcast couple years ago, and I put out a few episodes, and then I went ahead and I wanted to I just wanted to kind of like shift things a little bit. So I started what I called season 2, where season 2 is specifically focused on specific lies of the health and wellness industry. I got 2 episodes into season 2, and I literally had to put a pause on all of it just because I wanted to work on getting my business further off of the ground, work on getting more exposure and to get more clients in. That started taking a lot of my time. Now I'm in the process of rebirthing that back out there and getting more episodes in my podcast. But I was just wondering what you have to say about the people that put a pause on their podcast to focus on their business, like I did.
Gotcha. You mean as well in what you say to your audience as to why you've disappeared and have come back?
Something like that, and just like maybe what your thoughts are on even doing that, putting a pause. What are so kind of both.
Yeah. Perfect. I mean, well, obviously we'll take the first one. Obviously if you can build a system in place whereby you can still put out some content regularly enough, it might not be at the same frequency as what you were doing before, but if you can still even just put out an episode a month or an episode every 6 weeks, just to keep your audience with you and along the, on the journey with you and not disappear totally, that's great. But of course, life happens. People get busy. You've got other commitments. And if things like that happen, I've seen plenty of big podcasters and brands that have actually, used their podcast to do a lot of marketing, do exactly the same thing. And all they do is they come back after 6 months and they say, "Hi guys, it's our first episode back after 6 months. So sorry, we've disappeared. We've just been really busy with everything. We've launched this, we've launched that, but we're back now, and this is what we're going to chat about." So there's no reason why you can't just come back and do an episode like that as an re-intro back into the podcasting world. But if you can avoid it, obviously, even just do a show with less frequency, that's great as well. Because as we said earlier, it's all about persistence and patience and consistency. You have to keep showing up. Otherwise, people just move on.
This is very true. Now, another thing that you just said that kind of piqued a question, which I just wrote down so I don't forget it, because sometimes I do. You use your podcast for marketing. How does that even work? What does that look like to do something like that? I am curious about that.
Great question. I mean, this is something that I've kind of distilled down into 2 really key elements for me. Because when I talk to people about podcasting and teach podcasting, I say that a podcast nowadays has 2 purposes. The first purpose is it brings you awareness, whatever it is that you're trying to, whatever message you're trying to convey to the world. a podcast will bring you awareness to that message. And that's great. That's already branding and marketing in itself. But the second thing, and it's even the more important, is it gives you marketing content. You do a podcast for 45 minutes, half an hour, you now have, hopefully, an audio version and a video version, which now means you can take that marketing content in large form or long form and start chopping up little bits of video, little bits of audio, transcribing it into little blog posts. This one episode is going to give you so much marketing content to help you on your marketing journey every day that you don't even have to think about, oh my God, what am I going to write today? Everybody's is at a loss for content because it's so noisy and we need to constantly put out more content every day to stay competitive. So the key is to build a master system in place to give you that content without you worrying about it. And a podcast is exactly that. That's what I love about it. This episode we're doing right now, you can extract so much gold from this and leverage it to the hill. And there's your marketing taken care of for a couple of months.
That's awesome. Now, this raises another question. So what you're describing, I'm hearing over the last 2 or 3 months, I've just started hearing of people that do things like this. Maybe they don't even have a podcast. Maybe they'll just record a long video session and talk about a particular topic for about 45 minutes and then chop it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the question I have around chopping it up, because I have not done this yet. I do want to do this. This strategy does definitely intrigue me. So my question, though, is how do you find the pieces to chop up and share and the timing of all that? What does that kind of strategy look like as you're actually doing the editing and you're chopping it up? What do you chop up? What do you use throughout all of that?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. And funny you should say, I'm going to give a little plug to a great product that I use. It's a product called Splasheo, Splasheo. It's a Brisbane-based company, but they're worldwide, and they are absolutely fantastic in helping you repurpose your content. So with them, for example, you have 2 options. You can, and there's other products like this, but I just love Splasheo because of the look and feel of it, the fonts, the service, the time, the turnaround time. It's fantastic. So big plug out there to the team. But what they allow you to do is 2 things. If you want to sit there and chop up little bits yourself and decide, I want that little bit, I want that little bit, I want that little bit, you can feed it into the platform and it will spit out a lovely video with emojis and captions and all sorts of fonts and colors. Or if you don't have the time for that, you say, you know what, I wish someone would do this for me. You can actually give them the full video and they will spit out 3 or 4 or 5 little snippets for you. And it just depends on the plan that you choose. So there are products out there like Splasheo that are starting to do this for you. So it saves you time and it even saves you having to think about what am I going to choose? They are really good. If you just give them a line or 2 about what you're trying to achieve, they're really good at finding the little nuggets of gold and doing it for you. And I've just been using them lately and they're absolutely fantastic.
And that's Splasheo, Splash.
Yep, exactly.
Splasheo. She's got it right there in the comments. Okay, great.
Right there.
Right on it.
Really great products. And
that's my co-host for you, always on top of stuff.
He's on top. If you want to do a trial, you can even do the first so many for free just to test it out and see if you like it.
And there's another one too I would recommend is video.ai is another one that a lot of people rave about, video.ai. And that one there also chops up long content and does short content out of it. So it's amazing the tools out there. And Splasheo, I've heard good reports as well. So check both of those out. For those on the audio, Splasheo, Splasheo.com, and video.ai is vidyo.ai.
Definitely.
Great tips there, Darren. I think that's absolutely awesome. And why not use AI? I mean, isn't it amazing what we can do now with AI and how much time will it save people? It will be absolutely phenomenal. And I did share now, for those wondering what Ken's podcast was, it's Patriot Fat Fighter Ken, which I popped up on the screen there before, Patriot Fat Fighter Ken podcast. So you can check that out on anchor.fm/Ken-Kleinberg. And I have a show called Media Queen TV, which I've had since 2014. And I just checked the stats on that yesterday. And I've had 38,000 views organically. I've done no advertising, 38,000 views across all my shows. I've got about 1,000 shows on there. So talking about consistency, 1,000 shows.
There you go.
And 38,000 organic views, and we haven't really even optimized the channel or anything. We're actually just starting to do a lot more with it now. And I actually just changed the title of my YouTube channel because I was speaking to a YouTube expert yesterday, and he said that people follow people on YouTube. And this is a really golden tip. So I've now changed my YouTube channel to Aldwyn Media Queen TV, whereas before it was Media Queen TV, inspiring truth and good news. So now having my name at the front, if you look at all the big guys out there, the Tony Robbins, Brenda Bouchards, the Joe Rogans, all those guys, they've all had their name, Marie Forleo, Ellen, it's all the name. So people want to follow people. People follow people. However, with podcasts, now this is for YouTube, which of course a lot of people do YouTube video shows and then turn it into podcasts, which is what I've done for a lot of mine and what we've done for Total Truth Show here. With podcasts, a lot of people have podcast titles that aren't actually their name. What do you think of that, Darren, compared to, say, a title that does have someone's name in it?
Yeah, look, a good question. Again, it's personal choice. Like I've actually combined both. I don't have my personal name, but I've got my company name. So I've called my podcast Playing with Perspective by Suspended Animation, which is my company name. But you could do that, Playing with Perspective by Darren Saul. So you can actually combine the two together if you want to. But, it's really just like anything in marketing. A name is just what you're going to make of it. What's Nike? What's Apple? What's Tip Top? Like these names don't mean anything. What's Adidas? What's Uber? It's what you make it. So it's all about how you market your podcast and how you market your brand that is going to drive people to your show. But of course, if people are following you, having your name in there is definitely useful, especially with all the search engines nowadays. But first and foremost, as Aldwyn said at the beginning, a podcast or anything is not very useful unless you promote it. So it's all about how you're going to promote it.
Yeah, and how you build your name over time. And I mean, even Joe Rogan, who's, massive, he's got 15.6 million subscribers on YouTube. Now, his show is called Powerful JRE. And what he does is he does 10-minute shorts or 15-minute shorts on there. And then he leads people over to watch the full podcast over on Spotify, because he's actually sponsored by Spotify as well. But that's apparently 10 minutes is the optimum time on YouTube to have a snippet. And then you could lead people to a podcast platform. So there's so much you can do when you model the experts who's already making big money on YouTube. Lots of ways you can monetize your show too, which I'd love to chat with you too, Darren, about. There's lots you can do when you model the experts. And, I've already made quite a few changes to my YouTube channel already just since chatting. Actually, it was Orson, a guy called Orson, who's awesome, Orson Lord. I spoke to yesterday. He's a Brisbane guy who's very knowledgeable with YouTube. And we just had a chat yesterday. He gave me all these tips. He said, look, if you want to 4 times your viewers on YouTube, change your title on YouTube. And it's interesting because I used to have it called Aldwyn Altuney, and then I wanted to brand the Media Queen TV because I had all these different shows. I had like a Media Mastery Show, Animal Action TV, Truth Expose TV. I had all these different show names, and then I brought it all under the one banner, Media Queen TV. So I think the other thing about that is don't wait for it to all be perfect before you start something, right? You can always tweak things as you go. And with your YouTube names, you can actually change that every 2 weeks. You can change your title of your actual channel, which is interesting, right? I maybe wouldn't recommend that for podcasts so much. However, just don't let perfection get in the way of progress. Lawrence,
with YouTube as well, you can also have lots of playlists. So you can have different shows within the same umbrella show. There's so many things you can do.
You could. That's right. You could have lots of playlists. Lawrence King here on LinkedIn says shorts on YouTube is the ticket. Yeah, shorts have really taken off. In fact, I've been noticing that YouTube's really been pushing the shorts because, they're all clamoring for attention, all these social media platforms, aren't they? They're all just doing what the others are doing and trying to get lots of attention. So if you do embrace their new features that they bring out with these social media platforms, that is always a great way to increase your marketing as well.
And for example, I mean, the product Splasher or the product that Aldwyn just recommended will chop up those little bits for you and they will become your shorts. So it's all just repurposing the same content, but you only have to have one master file. So that's why I love the podcasting strategy, because it gives you all this stuff. When you
Yeah, and Lawrence here, he says he has 1.1 million views on his YouTube channel. That is awesome, Lawrence. I would love to know what tips you have for us, Lawrence, on how you've grown to 1.1 million views. That is awesome. And have you done any paid ads? I'm curious whether that would have, because, there's people you can pay to get you more views and more subscribers, right? In fact, I get them approaching me. They're usually from India. I get them just about every day on LinkedIn. They want to get me more YouTube subscribers and views. And I do wonder about that because I believe you can get accounts shut down when you do that kind of stuff. What's your experience with that?
Well, also with that, before he chimes in, I would, I have been told a number of times, and it's something I've observed too, with hiring a company or whatever to get you more subscribers and stuff like that. The thing about to be careful with that is, especially if you pay for subscribers, the thing you've got to realize is a large percentage of those new subscribers are going to be bots. That's so you just got to be really careful with that kind of thing. Bots.
Yes. Yeah. But Lawrence has no paid ads. So please let us know your top tips, Lawrence, on how you grew to 1.1 million organic.
Get Lawrence on the show. Where are you, Lawrence?
or 1.1 million organic.
So anyhow, Darren,
that is awesome. Well done,
so
Lawrence.
anyhow,
That is
Darren,
brilliant.
now, what are your views on that?
I would say exactly the same. Like, I get a lot of people coming to me from all over the world, giving me all these ideas of how I can make your podcast better and a YouTube channel better and all this. But I would say the same thing. As soon as you're going to start targeting people and for paying for views and likes and audience, you're not going to build the audience that you want to attract anyway. You try to attract a particular audience because of what you do and the value that you provide. If you're just going to start casting the net out really wide just to get followers, you could just find all these random followers that are never going to, nothing's ever going to land for them anyway. And it's just a waste of time. It's just numbers. I mean, again, it's about, can you be influential enough with your audience to do some good? Or do you just want to be market to the masses and just be whatever? Niche sometimes is better than
yeah. So it sounds like, again, you are promoting, and it's something that I've known for a while. Organic reach is much, much better. Takes more work, obviously, and it's a little bit more time, but the organic reach actually ends up paying off.
Definitely. But one thing I can add is that you can still do both. And what I like to do is market to my warm community. So, for example, my Facebook page, I can do a podcast, put it up on Facebook, on my Facebook page, and I can boost a post for a very small amount of money, maybe $5 a day for a few days or whatever, and market it to my warm audience, all the people that are already my fans in Facebook. So I'm marketing now to a warm audience rather than a cold audience. So you can start to play with both. You can use organic as well as paid, but you've got to know where you're going with it.
Yes, great. Lawrence is saying here, because I'm good at what I do. Ha, 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 ha. Well, you must be good at what you do, Lawrence. You've got to have at least 1 million people like what you do. So that's awesome. Can you already have the gold mine with your weight loss? Absolutely. And everyone has a story, right? It's important not to compare yourself with others. And I love how when Ken was sharing about his podcast, he was going on about the health stuff, right? Because he's so passionate about it. And that's the thing. What are you passionate passionate about if you're thinking of starting a podcast. And I must say, I've been loving doing this collaboration with you, Ken, because this is our 42nd episode, and it keeps you accountable when you do it with someone else. So as long as you're aligned and you've got similar, vision around what you're doing and similar ideas, I think it could really work well doing a co-hosted podcast. What are your thoughts on that, Darren?
Yep, I 100% agree. And I even will take it, to me, it's a little bit similar to doing a podcast with a guest. Like a lot of people will ask me, should I do a podcast by myself and just talk about what I know? Or should I do a podcast with a guest? And I would say definitely do it with a guest, because nobody wants to hear you and what you're talking about every single day, every single episode. It's the same flavor, it's the same energy. But if you have a guest or a co-host, it changes the dynamic totally, and it's so much more interesting and engaging, and it's going to bring you a much bigger following than if you're always just you spitting out your content. They are my thoughts on that.
Yes, it absolutely makes it a lot more engaging, I think, and a lot more exciting to collaborate. However, again, a lot of people, it's like any relationship that it takes two to tango, right? So if you have someone who's really keen to do a podcast and the other person keeps slacking off and is not committed, then that's not going to work, right? So you need to make sure that you're aligned from the beginning. So back to marketing. So when you do your show, Darren, how do you market your shows?
So when I think about podcast marketing, I think about how can I draw from other industries in terms of how they market what they do. And the best one is TV and film. Right. So if I look at, oh my God, Tom Cruise is going to launch Mission Impossible 7. They will market the hell out of that movie for 8-10 months before it even lands in the cinema. And it's a combination of social media and billboards and, back of buses and whatever else they do. But think about how they market it and use the same principles. You don't have to go that far, but use the same principles with your own show. So if you have an episode coming up, market that episode for a week before it happens. Then when it happens, post it up or stream it live like we're doing. And then you take all those little snippets that we talked about, and then you go back to them and you repost that show, and you send people back to that show over and over again over time in a certain cycle, because it's going to be new content to new people at all times. You're going to have a new audience. Your audience is always growing. So people think that you post something up once and that's it. No way. It's about leveraging what you've already done for the last God knows how many years and keep coming back to it, but put a different spin on it, put a different graphic on it, put a different video on it. However you want to get creative in how you bring it back, do it, but just keep bringing it back. So it's about building a marketing system around your show and your episode, not just posting it up once and saying, all right, now I need to find another guest. Where's my next show? You can do so much work with what you already have. So it's all about thinking outside the box. How do I market this like TV would, or like streaming would, or like a film would, or like a book would, or whatever?
Yes, I love that. And people have such short attention spans now. Apparently fleas have got a longer attention span now than human beings. So that short content out, you could do voice clips, you could do video clips, and you could do little social media images to promote your show as well. And then make sure you tag everybody, right? A lot of people are not using tags or hashtags.
Tag everybody, use hashtags for sure. And the other little tidbit of information is use groups on social media, because a lot of people forget to repost on different groups that are going to give you a whole new audience, sometimes in the hundreds of thousands, and you're leaving money on the table and audience on the table if you don't do that.
Yes, you don't want to spam the groups.
True, it's got to be relevant.
So question around that, Facebook groups. What groups would you recommend joining that would allow you to do posts like that? Because I know there are a lot of groups out there that are extremely strict and picky about that kind of stuff. So what kind of groups can you recommend that you can go into and then put a post out there to promote your podcast, but also because there's groups that allow that. Yep. But what I've also found is a lot of the groups that allow that are being overrun with other people that are doing the same thing, and nobody sees your stuff. And so it's wasted effort. So what do you recommend to find groups, or what kind of groups do you recommend finding?
There's a few things there. The first one is you don't necessarily want to go to a group that is just a generic group to welcome all sorts of other podcasters to promote their own podcast, because then you're just competing with everybody else that's got a podcast, and what's the point? You want to find a group that's going to contain your potential audience. So now's when you can start thinking laterally. Say you've got a wedding planner podcast. You might go to a group that does wedding flowers or wedding dresses or wedding food, catering, and you might start putting your content in that group. So that's where your audience lives, but you're not necessarily competing with all sorts of other people with podcasts like yours. So you're fresh and you're new. And LinkedIn is actually really powerful for that. I'm finding that the LinkedIn groups are way bigger and way more welcoming and more cooperative than some of the Facebook groups, but the Facebook groups work as well. And the other thing just to remember is you want to give the group value. You're not going there saying, here's my show, promote my show. You're saying, just done a great show on this topic. If anybody's interested in it, check it out. So it's more about what can I give this group than just me promoting my stuff. What am I going to take from this group? So if you think about it from that point of view, you'll only be welcomed with open arms because you're contributing to the culture and to the content within that group if you think about things in the right way.
Yeah, and I agree, and as Ken said, so many groups like don't post any of your links, and I work the opposite. Okay, I mean, of course you don't want to spam people, but I will actually put out an invite to anyone who is watching this or listening to this right now. Feel free to promote any of your inspiring content. Okay, so if you have a podcast that's really inspiring or anything like that, feel free to pop it into any of my Facebook groups linked in my link tree /Aldwyn. That's linktr.ee/Aldwyn. I have several Facebook groups, and you're more than welcome. We have Conscious Community Global, we have Mass Media Tribe, Loving Life Group, plenty of groups there that you can share your content. Do not spam people, of course, but I'm like, well, if we don't know what you do, how can we support you? So I'm all about let's support each other, whereas so many others aren't. However, there are some amazing groups also in Facebook for podcasters. If you're looking, for a podcast guest, or you're looking to be a guest on a show, there's so many podcast groups looking for people there too that you can collaborate with. And of course, LinkedIn we love because it's not as censored as Facebook and YouTube even. Lawrence says, absolutely, Darren loves that. Alina Smith is here. What benefit would a podcast give an animal welfare charity? Good question there, Alina. Well, what's your answer to that, Darren?
Well, so Alina has a podcast about animal welfare, does she?
She says, what benefit would it give for an animal welfare charity to have a podcast? What benefit?
Oh, absolutely. Look, there's the benefit of anybody should have a podcast, as I had in my little bio. And the reason is that you're basically allowing your audience to learn and understand and get to know you, get to know your story, get to know why you do what you do, and you're giving them much more information about you and why you do what you do and how you do what you do than just what they might find on your website or on your Facebook page. And then you can start using guests, and you can say, great, I have an animal welfare charity. Let's find some activist that does a lot of work in this country or in another country with animal welfare. Have them on your show. Let's talk to people about animal welfare in general. You can start really building a whole brand around your journey and what you're doing in your initiative. And then by proxy, people are going to come to your charity and maybe donate to your charity or come and help you and volunteer for your charity or doing whatever else. So it's about bringing awareness to what you do, but in a much more passive, subtle, and clever way that allows people to get to know you and your story than just what we put up in a polished version on Facebook or on our website. It's so much more powerful. So everyone should have a podcast because it breaks away all that, that filter in front, and we really get to connect with the person behind the brand.
Yes. And some people say they have a face for radio. For those people, you may not want to do it online TV show like we're doing here. We're turning this into a podcast, of course. So we have vodcasts and we have podcasts. So vodcasts are where you have a video show. Podcasts is just an audio show. And of course, people love the audio show because they're out and about. Often they can listen to it while they're driving or while they're running or walking or, all sorts of, So audios are great for that. However, I must say I'm very visual. I love the video shows. What are your thoughts on that, Ken and Darren?
Ken, jump in.
So I personally, I do like the video because I think the video is more interactive, different things like that. And then, yes, Aldwyn, again, confirming just what you just said there. Audio is excellent for like the car and different things like that. Oh, yes. But even ones that are video, like I will often pull up my headphone, I will pop it on the mount and I will play the video and I will just be paying attention to driving and listen to the audio. So that also is kind of intermixed and as well. But I too also prefer the video because, like I said, it's just more interactive. And especially if you've got an episode where you're actually sharing something as an example, of course, video is going to be the best for that.
Definitely. And I couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's exactly right. Some people will just play the video and still listen to the audio. But I think it's important to give people the choice. If you're not giving people the choice, you're just limiting your audience and your influence. So if you can do both, do both. And the other thing is, obviously, when I mentioned a podcast is incredible from a marketing strategy and content point of view. So if you're not doing video, you're missing out on all the great video content that you can take from the podcast. So that's why I love video and audio if you can.
Yeah.
And also the video formats, you can upload them to multiple platforms. You got Rumble, you got BitChute, you got YouTube, you've got, oh my gosh, I can't even remember all
TikTok,
of them out there.
Facebook, you got LinkedIn, you got everything.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it's just like, so when you're just doing an audio and you post like that on Facebook, nobody wants to just sit there and listen to audio.
Doesn't grab anybody's attention.
Yeah, this is why video is very, very important to do as well.
Yeah. And you're leaving a legacy with every single video that you do. If you have someone that you have interviewed, say on a podcast, it's just audio, and that person dies next week, what would you rather have to remember them by? A audio, or would you love to be able to see their face as well and see their expressions? And, it's like they say, a photo is worth 1,000 words. A video is worth 1,000,000 words. So I love video. Video.
I love video.
We've got Lawrence here saying, yes, humane societies, kill shelters, blood and gut stories about these poor animals will give you a voice, especially if you interview people who work at these locations. Yes, absolutely, Lawrence. It'll really pull at the heartstrings when you have videos and you can show photos and things like that of what's going on. And as much as some people
collaborating with people as well, and you never know where that's going to lead.
Excuse me, I had background noise. It happens on live streams, and this is the thing. This is the thing on a live stream when you have people in the background that you've asked to be quiet and they are not quiet. These things can happen. And what do you do? Do you end the show, or do you just get on? You just move along with things. Just keep going, right? So
that is one of the things that I like with my podcast episode is that I do usually pre-record the episodes. So if there is wonky stuff going on, I can just edit it out easily.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
So yes, we could edit that out, but we probably won't. We'll just leave it as it is. And, I just find it amusing. I find it amusing. I've had my cat jump up on top of my laptop as I was doing a show. I mean, I've had all sorts of things happen in the live, but it shows that we're human. It shows that stuff happens, and life goes on.
That's right. So, and that's engaging in itself. People want to. That's why video is so important. And people just want to have a bit of fun and get to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So, yes, life is full of unexpected twists and turns. And so what other tips have you got around marketing, Darren? This is such a hot topic, podcast marketing.
Absolutely, podcast marketing. So, For me, I'd like to think of podcasting as another pillar in your wider social media marketing strategy. So if everybody's getting serious about marketing on social media, which I think everybody should do because we've established that it's here to stay and it's one of the best return on investment of your time, and it's relatively free. But if you think about putting a podcast into that strategy, it'll just help you drive that strategy even further. You'll have more content, and then you'll start getting creative in how you do things as well. And so you can take things further. So a lot of the trends nowadays are people are starting to do live shows with live audiences, live podcast episodes with audiences. And then you can start doing, you can just start doing live episodes in this kind of format. You can start in terms of what you mentioned before. You can start charging people to come to those shows. You can start getting merchandise and caps and T-shirts and all sorts of other things that can become part of your signature for that show. So you can start to really ramp up everything you do around your marketing and merchandising and subscription models and all sorts of sponsorships from other animal activists or whatever. So there's so much you can do in terms of how to start marketing and taking your marketing to the next level using the podcast as the vehicle. I think it's really powerful. And once you start, you just get so creative and you just come up with all these ideas and you don't even have time to action all of them.
Yeah, so true. And of course, there's Patreon out there where you can get subscribers through Patreon and other platforms where you can monetize the platforms. Of course, YouTube, you can monetize if you have over 1,000 subscribers and you have 4,000 hours of viewing over a year, over 365 days. So they're two of the criteria to monetize YouTube. Oh God, Lawrence here goes, your dog is barking, woof, woof, woof. Actually, there was a human in the background here. It wasn't a dog, but I know it might have sounded like a dog. Absolutely. Show me the money, baby. Show me the money.
It'll be interesting to know if Lawrence has monetized this podcast.
Yes, Lawrence, have you monetized those 1.1 million views? And the thing is, you want quality views too, ideally. However, you've reached 1.1 million people. That is awesome, Lawrence. And, it's not all about the numbers. However, it does give you some indication of the value that you're bringing and maybe how well you are marketing your show if you've got that. There's always more we can do when it comes to marketing. This is the thing. I mean, I have a media business. I help people get publicity. I help people get the message out online. And we're constantly tweaking, with our team, constantly tweaking what we're doing on all the socials. And now we have Threads out, right? Now people have jumped onto Threads, and now there's all these other platforms. We're doing Quora, we're doing all these, we're doing Tumblr, we're doing all these, Pinterest. Wow. Actually, I just checked my Pinterest views yesterday, 108,000 views we've had on Pinterest.
Oh my God.
Things are just starting to go kind of exponential there. So it's really cool. So hang in there, guys, because it's like you chug along sometimes in life. And then there might be one show you do or one person you interview and then whoosh, things just go crazy. Or one reel you do or one short. We've been doing lots of little reels on Pinterest that have been shared by some pretty major players. And that could be all it takes is that you do something gets shared by someone who's got a major following and suddenly your viewers go through the roof.
Absolutely. Or one person invites you on their show as a guest and all of a sudden, boom, there you go. So you just never know what happens. So you've just got to stay in it. You've got to keep doing it and then think about different ways to market your businesses, market your podcast as well.
Yeah, and it's important to be committed, not attached, right? Be committed to doing your show, not attached to how many people are going to watch it or, attached to what's going to happen in the background while you're doing your show or attached to it being perfect in any way, because it's definitely not going to be perfect. And, I've done thousands of hours of public speaking training and I still stumble over words. I still say ums and ahs. Toastmasters, they'd be shaking their head in Toastmasters going, oh, more ums and ahs, because they count the ums and ahs when you speak in Toastmasters, and however, we just keep going and we're human beings. And I think that's what can make you even more appealing to people than they know you're just like them, just like them, maybe with a bit more confidence, maybe. Yeah. Ken?
I think when it comes to the ums and ahs, like, oh my gosh, I used to I used to be so self-conscious about those kind of things. Now, if it bugs me enough, like I will go through and I will take out a few of them and I will leave some others in just for the natural feel. But yeah, I've stopped worrying so much unless it literally is to the point to where I the other one that's really common is the you know.
or like,
I
or
hate
like.
like
Yes.
yeah, exactly. I hate those.
Yes.
They drive me crazy, but I have over time learned not to be so judgmental of myself over those things, but just to kind of when I'm going back and I'm re-listening to go back and then just go, all right, does this sound more like a natural flow? If it does, then I'll leave some of that stuff in because it's just more of the natural. I'm being myself. But if it's affecting the episode in a way to where it makes it sound like, what does this guy even know what he's doing? He seems distracted, he can't think straight, stuff like. Then I will take some of them out, or a lot of them out, or most of them out, because I have had episodes like that to where it's just like the energy and the focus just wasn't there. And oftentimes when that does happen, oftentimes I'll just scratch the whole thing and I'll re-record it with better energy. And then usually when that does happen, which isn't too often, but when that does happen, the re-record, I'm often way more satisfied with it. So sometimes even that happens.
Yeah, true. And there's even software these days that, AI software that can take out all the oohs and ahs and ums for you. But then you're left with this very bland, robotic conversation, and it's got no soul. So I think it's important not to go overboard with all that stuff.
Yes. And there's even AI now that can pretend to be you.
Yeah, that's right. This is not even Darren Saul. This is actually just a deep fake of me. Who knows?
With those, I've really gotta put out my own opinion about that. So I think there's a point that with the AI where it's like, okay, this is too far. I am more of an authentic person. I don't want my audience to see an AI version of me. I want my audience to see me.
Yeah.
I want them to see my personality, the way I bring things across when I get on a roll and I'm passionate about what I'm talking about and I'm getting on a roll about it. I want my audience to feel that, see that, and experience that. And I don't want them to be sitting there. Is that really him? Is that an AI? What is that? It's just like,
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like Biden.
So that's my opinion on that.
Apparently there's a lot of Biden AI out there. Apparently Biden's not really Biden. Apparently at times. Anyway, look into it yourself. But show me the real Biden. And anyway, so we're getting sidetracked. We don't want to talk about politics here. We'll go down a rabbit hole there.
I was going to say you're on to something there, though. But hint.
Yes, do your own research, my friends. That's what this show's all about. Do your own research. So Lawrence, meanwhile, on Facebook, Lawrence King, thank you for your participation. We love this show to be interactive. He's making himself immortal. Good on you, Lawrence. Love that.
Lawrence is the Thor of the podcast world.
The Thor of the podcast. Hollywood, here I come. It's my time to shine. Absolutely. And time, of course, IME. Time to shine. Please pop your link in the chat, guys, wherever you're watching this from. Pop your podcast links, your show links. Pop them in there so we can check out your shows. I'd love to see what you're doing, Lawrence, because I'd love to model what you're doing to get 1.1 million views.
I want 1.5 million views as well.
Yes. And this can be the trap with success, right? Because Lawrence might be thinking, oh, well, I've got 1.1, but so-and-so's got 100 million, right? Or so-and-so's got 1 billion views, right? And so this can be a trap, right? In the world of success, when it comes to business, when it comes to, numbers, looking at the numbers, there's always more you can do. And so it's very important to enjoy the journey, my friends. Enjoy the journey. Don't worry about the numbers. Okay, it's fantastic to see that people are seeing your stuff. However, if you can impact one person with what you're doing, it's worth putting your show out. Okay, so this is where so many people get despondent. They go, oh, I've done 3 shows, 10 shows or whatever, and I've only got 50 people watching, and they get despondent, they give up, but they could be just on the verge of something going crazy for them, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and even if that one person that you impact is yourself, even if just you have fun, that's great too. You don't have to impact anybody. Just have it, as long as you're having fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Just do it for you. Do it for you.
You know, something else.
It's like singing in
Something
the
else
shower.
that I've just recently,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. Something else that I've just kind of recently discovered, you know, it's just like I've had a few mentors before in the past and everything else. And the thing about it is I have followed like little tweaks with content that I'm putting out, even like suggestions with my podcast episodes on my angles and different things like that. For me, like, here's what I'm going to say on, you know, just a journey that I've been on and something that I've learned kind of through the hard way. Don't be so willing to latch on to what other people are trying to share with you to share. Talk about what your passion is, even in your content, even in your long form written content and different things like that. If you are just going out there and only just following by what the mentors say, you know, you should say it this way and you should do it this way and you should, what I'm going to tell you right now is you are eventually going to lose your fire.
I agree.
And for a little bit, that's what happened to me. And I had to kind of take a week and a half to 2 weeks step back in the content and everything that I was putting out there, like on Facebook and stuff like that, and kind of refined my footing and then rediscover, okay, these are things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about this subject I'm passionate about. Now I'm going to maybe word it a little differently to do the like little hooks and catchphrases. But I'm going to start talking more about those passions and less about what the gurus and mentors want me to talk about. Might it be longer before I grow an audience? Probably. But during the way, will I be passionate about it and love what I'm doing, which is key? Yes. So that is another message. What do you think about that, Darren? What's your thoughts on that?
100%. Sometimes the longer it takes, the better it is. You know, sometimes it's even like a client. Sometimes the longer it takes to get that one client, that client might become your best client because it took a little bit while to get them. But I would also say that, you know, I 100% agree with what you're saying, is that trends are always going to keep changing. All the masters are going to be giving you different tips in 6 months and a year to what they're giving you now. There's always going to be something else. The algorithm keeps changing on social media. So
True.
you can't keep up with that. It's like a race to go nowhere. If you just keep doing what you love to do, you'll find your audience, or better still, your audience will find you, and you'll have fun and it'll be sustainable rather than you just chasing the fad and then getting burnt out.
Yeah, I'd agree. And the longer it takes too, the better it is when you're making love. You know, I mean, you don't want a quickie, do you? So, you know, it's the same with business. You know, we want to be in there for the long haul. And this wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, just doesn't cut it anymore, my friend. So bring the romance back, I say.
It's a new episode, the romancing podcasting.
Well, it's like marketing. Marketing's a long game, right? It's actually very relevant. You know, you don't take someone out on first date and marry them straight away. You have to date them. Same with the content you're putting out. We're dating you with our content, my friends. And if you like it, you'll hang around. If you don't, you'll go. And that's okay. Not everyone is going to, you know, be on the same frequency as you, because we are all energy, frequency, vibration. We're vibrating at different levels, right? If you look at Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, it's all in the Conscious Community Global Facebook group if you want to find out more about that. And so there are those that just aren't going to resonate with your stuff, and that's okay, right?
That's cool.
And then
you can't please everybody.
Exactly. And there's those that will. And when it comes to mentors, I've got multiple mentors as well. And they all give their opinion on what they know. And that's all they can really give you is from their own experience. And it will continue to change because the landscape of media and marketing is changing so rapidly. And this is where it's so important. In 20 years of social media, look how much things have just gone crazy. I mean, our TikTok channel is really growing as well at the moment, which you don't have to twerk on TikTok and you know, wiggle your bum and your boobs to get followers, right? Although some of the OnlyFans.
I'm glad to hear that.
some of the OnlyFans people are making a killing, but hey, you know, if you've got it flaunted, I guess, you know, people are willing to pay for that stuff. So hey, all power to you, you know, all power to you.
And Lawrence, thank you. Like, yes, I am following my passion now. Like like I said, it took me literally 2 weeks to step back and just to take a deep breath, find my footing. And now that I'm back, I even put out a post today. I mean, it was a fire post about sugar, and it had a totally different angle than what I usually put out. And, it got comments, it got attention, and it was something that I really enjoyed putting out. It's something I enjoyed putting together today. So, it's just like, it's got to be your passion, and it's got to be something that you're enjoying doing. Otherwise you will lose it.
Yeah, you'll burn out. If you're doing it just for the numbers or the metrics or the money or the result, you'll burn out. Do it for the love, and everything else will come if you stay with it long enough.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Darren, what about having, doing a show at a regular time every week? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. Like, I listen to loads of podcasts, and I know on a Monday and a Thursday, this person puts out that. And on a Wednesday morning, I'm going to get up and listen to that. So I kind of like that. It's almost like streaming. Wednesday night, Morning Wars is out, whatever it is. So you just know that you start to get used to the rhythm. So I think it's really good to be able to do that. But then again, I'm very haphazard. I might do a show every week, but I might not actually launch it at the same time every week. So each to your own, but it's got to be regular. But if you can do it at the same time every week, that's really a good thing as well, because people can really start to follow you, and they look forward to it.
Yeah, true. And I must say, Ken and I generally, we do our shows it's either his Monday night in America and my Tuesday morning or late morning, or it's Ken's Thursday night in America and my late morning on a Friday. So it's usually at those times. With my Media Queen TV shows, I do them at any time, whenever I can fit it in with the guests and around my schedule. I don't like to have a set time every week, usually because my weeks can change so rapidly. So I have commitment issues actually when it comes to that. So it's okay. I own it, and I like to have a bit of freedom and flexibility in when I do my shows.
Aldwyn, the podcast swinger.
Yeah, that's a podcast swinger. We use safe practices around here. Okay. It's all safe through the internet.
I agree. Like, the key is just make sure you have your show and continue to pursue it. Don't get too bogged down in, oh my God, it's Friday afternoon, I haven't launched it. So what? Launch it tomorrow. But you don't have to go crazy, but just keep doing it.
Yes, absolutely. So we will wrap up shortly. Now, just for people who want to connect with you, Darren, and they want to, well, how do you work with people first? Do you help them actually start their own show and get it out?
So I do loads of different things. So anything in the podcast space around either workshops or keynotes or courses, whether it's one-on-one or just little one-on-one consultations about strategy, I do all that stuff. So if anybody just wants to reach out to me, my website is www.suspendedanimation.com.au. That's my photo brand, which I've bundled into everything. And you can find all my links and my podcast content on there. And just reach out to me, send me a message, even on LinkedIn as well, on Facebook. And, I can always tailor anything that anybody needs.
Beautiful. And I must say, you're very generous with your information. So there it is there, suspendedanimation.com.au, SUSPENDED, animation is spelled ANIMATION.com.au, because it's in Australia, right? So yes, there it is there. And I highly recommend, Darren. In fact, we got onto Anchor. Well, I got onto Anchor. Ken was already using Anchor, but thanks to you, Darren, you recommended Anchor, which is now Spotify for podcasts. And we've been using
I feel like Anchor is a really good platform, especially
it's the best.
And it's free, and they offer so freaking much. There's other platforms that you go on, and they've got space limits and all this other stuff. Anchor, you could just put so much stuff on there. Oh my God, the platform that Anchor has, which is now Spotify, I think is like 100% on top of everybody else.
Amazing. And they've just actually launched a video. So you can actually put your video podcast into Anchor platform as well. So it's a new thing that's just happened. And as well, for everybody out there, it allows you to record your interludes, your intros, your outros, all in the platform with the music. You know, you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. It's all done in the platform. So it's a great platform to start with.
So is there copyright-free music in the platform too, is there? Because I haven't looked at all that. My team does all that. Yeah, copyright-free.
It is, but I kind of, unless they've updated their database, I kind of find a lot of their music stuff a little cheesy. I like the royalty-free music that I can find on YouTube better. And then I just kind of upload it. So yes, Anchor has all of that and everything else. And I think that's also a really great feature, especially for people that don't know a lot about, you know, how to kind of be a little bit more techie like I do. So for me, when for example, the introduction to this episode, I actually, so the audio of all of that, the fade out, and then the voiceover that I did myself, I actually did all of that on GarageBand.
Cool.
Oh.
And then I forgot how I got the image to actually stay on the thing. So I think what I did, after I did the audio on GarageBand, then I think I loaded it into iMovie.
Okay.
And then I had the image stay all throughout the audio. Correct. So that's how I did that.
Yep, that's how you do it. And even Canva, you can do
a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more techie, but I think, you know, Anchor has a great platform for people that aren't as, you know, techie.
Agree. And anybody that I teach for the first time setting up a podcast, I always recommend them go to Anchor because it's all done for you. And then you'll have your video version in YouTube and you're off and running.
And Anchor spits it out to all the different podcast platforms, right? What are some of the ones that Anchor goes out to, Darren?
So it'll go to Apple. You've got to set up for Apple, Stitcher, iHeart, Google, and there's so many others. I mean, you can just choose which ones where you want to go.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Mass media marketing at its best. Thank you so much, Darren. It's been great chatting with you. It's gone just like that. And Darren and I are both with BX Networking as well. So we're both in the BX Network, which is a worldwide networking organization, and been working on getting Ken along to one of them one of these days.
Yes, Ken, you got to join us.
Come and join us, Ken, for a free. Well, and anyone who wants to come and check out BX Networking, it is now it's in Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, I believe. Is that right, Darren?
Canada, that's right, Canada. Eastern Europe, I think there's 1 or 2 countries in Eastern Europe, and it's just growing rapidly.
It's growing rapidly, BX Networking. So if you want to come along to that, just reach out. We can get you some free tickets for either a breakfast, lunch, dinner event in your area or an online event as well. It's a really cool networking group that we're part of. And that's, in fact, where I met Darren. And we've interviewed each other before on our own shows. And he hasn't actually been on Total Truth Show. So now he's having the Total Truth Show experience, which has been great to have you, Darren. And one thing we do before we wrap up is we actually share a favorite quote or motto that we live by. So we can come back to you in just a minute for that, Darren. And we'll just go to Ken now, and Ken can share how we can connect with you, Ken, and how people can work with you.
Right. Well, you got my links, so I'll leave it to you to pop that up there. So basically what she's going to share here is my link to my link tree. And there's 3 things at the top of my link tree that you need to be paying attention to. The rest of it, you can point, you can click, you can do shiny butterfly, whatever you want. But the first top 3 links, one of them is a link to my Facebook group. It is free to join, and there's lots of really cool stuff that I share in there. Great information, great stuff. And then the second link is a link to book an appointment with me on my calendar. Are you able to find that, Aldwyn?
Yes, I'm going through my doc. I'll be bringing it up in just a moment. Patience, please.
Okay, I was just wondering because I was going to go get it for you if not. So that's what I was just
I'm looking through my document. I was sure I saw it a minute ago. I'm just doing some scrolling up and down. You know what it's like. Scrolling, looking for the link. We'll be right back with you with that link. So just hold your horses.
All right. So no worries about that. So the second link you'll see on there, I think it's the second link, is a link to book an appointment with me. Hey, you guys, I don't bite. Yes, you get on the call with me. We're going to walk through, where you're at, how I can help you, and, whether the program works for you. And then, yes, I will also go over my pricing. I'm not going to hard sell you. I am not going to send you down some kind of funnel hole and go, now that you did this, I'm not that kind of person. I don't do that. I will go over pricing with you. I will tell you which one's going to work best for you. And then you get to make that choice, because I don't want to just, I don't want to be the person that many others have been to me. So, and then there's the third and last link that you will see from the top down. And that is, oh shoot. Now, okay, there it is. I'm like, now I drew a blank. That is my website. So you can go to my website, you can find out all about me. You can see links to my podcast there. There's even a masterclass that's running that you can go check out there. There's lots of stuff to find on my website. So my link tree is www.linktr.ee/FatFighterKen. And you can connect with me there.
Thank you so much, Ken. Wonderful. And Ken, what is your favorite quote or motto that you live by, or something you'd like to share inspiring us today around that?
Where I'm at today is sharing my most common quote, and that is, treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. And that is by Donald J. Trump.
Love that.
Beautiful. Donald J. Trump, love it. And Darren, do you have a favorite quote or motto that you live by?
I do. There's a great quote that I read years ago by a guy called Dr. Paul Homily. I don't know who he is, but I love the quote. And it says, make every decision based on the person you would like to become. And I've always just loved that quote. Very, very profound.
I love that. Make every decision based on the person you want to become. Beautiful. Because it's not about where you are now, guys. It's about where you want to be, right? And it's about actually really seeing that, feeling that, to create the life of your dreams. It's a moment by moment decision, and it's actually, it's planning.
It's a different person in different parts of your life. Like the further you progress, the further you achieve certain things, you become a little different. You upskill, you change.
Yeah, and embracing the changes of life, because that's one thing that's for sure, is that things are forever changing. Forever changing. Beautiful. Love that, Darren. And for those who want to connect with me, you can connect at my link tree, linktr.ee/Aldwyn. And in there, you'll find all our event updates that we have. We have the Global Good News Challenge every month, absolutely free marketing for you. Here's a great way you can get extra marketing for your podcast, is do the Global Good News Challenge. Free every single month, where you share gratitude and good news. We share out to thousands of people. We add you to a private group. You can win prizes. It's very cool. And you're helping the world by helping to decrease depression and suicide rates, and helping to lift the energy on the planet by doing the Global Good News Challenge. So if you're someone who's sick of all the negative news out there, you're sick of it, you don't watch the news, then here's a way that you can make a difference in this. We've been doing it for 3.5 years now. The Global Good News Challenge, people all over the world have been doing it. And all the details are pinned to the top of the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page. Okay, make sure you hashtag Global Good News Challenge so we can find you. And that's a great way that we can stay connected. And you will feel amazing when you get into gratitude and you share gratitude, as well as the people who see your videos. So I challenge you to do the Global Good News Challenge. We actually have a 10-day one you can start anytime within October, being the 10th month, 10-day Global Good News Challenge. I challenge you to do that. Also, we have an Animal Action Day for Aussie Wildlife. We're doing a great fundraiser event coming up on the Gold Coast, November 19. It's going to be at Mermaid Waters Hotel Sunday. It's going to be an awesome day. I'll just double check. It's definitely the 19th. Yes, it's definitely 19th of November. 10 till 5, we've got performers, speakers, and we're raising funds for this amazing charity called Aussie Wildlife. So all the details, hop in there. You can also book a call with me on my calendar link if you want to chat about anything marketing as well. So that's all that. And we have Lawrence is giving us one of his quotes here. Do unto others, then split before they can do unto you. Not.
I love it. That's great.
And he says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Thank you, Lawrence. Love your humour. That's why you get 1.1 million. See, that's why you get 1.1 million.
Lawrence, I do have to say you've got some good sense of humor. I love it. So thank you for joining us in the chat.
Where is
on
Lawrence?
the show.
Is Lawrence in the States or in Australia? Where is he?
Yes. Yeah, where are you?
I don't know.
Well, he's messaged here, Aldwyn, are you from the land down under? Now, in Australia, we don't call it the land down under. So I would say he's probably not from Australia, because that sounds like something could be from America. They often say land down under.
Too much Men at Work.
Yeah, too much Croc Dundee, right? Too much of that from back in the day. So I'd say probably. So I'm from the Gold Coast in Australia, which is north of where Darren's from in Sydney, in Australia. So we're on different time zones as well at the moment. We look like we're in the same time zone, like we should be in the same time zone, but for some reason Queensland stays behind for 6 months of the year, and New South Wales and Victoria goes forward 1 hour for 6 months of the year, and it's just happened. So if you get confused with AEST, which is Australian Eastern Standard Time, Queensland time, and AEDT, Australian Eastern Daylight Time, for the next 6 months, welcome to our world. And, you know, in a part of the Gold Coast, right near the border, there's one part of the street that is 1 hour behind the next part of the street. You walk across the road, literally, the clock goes forward 1 hour.
There's a lot going on in this country.
That is maddening.
I know. It's insane. Insane. So, yes, where are you from, Lawrence? We'll have to check you out. Oh, he's in America. How did I guess?
There we go. I thought
America.
so.
Which part,
Lawrence, my friend, you're in America like me. I am in San Diego County, California.
California, yes, love it. I love California too, I must say. Whereabouts in America are you from, Lawrence? And we'll check you out on LinkedIn. I'm going to do a bit of Lawrence King stalking after this and check out his podcast, which he hasn't popped in the comments here, but please do pop it in the comments, your podcast links, etc. And my favorite quote for today is one from Gandhi: "Be the change you wish to see in the world. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Stop your bloody whinging and just be the change." Okay, that's all I got to say about that. Okay. And
I like it.
Lots of love, Darren. It's been an absolute pleasure having you as our guest. Is there any final words to share with you? Any final words?
Sorry, final words. All of you out there that have been talking about starting your podcast and thinking about starting your podcast and about to start your podcast for the last 10 years, just start and do something tomorrow and go on the journey and let it just evolve as you go. Don't wait any longer.
Yes, take action now. And Ken, any final words from you?
No, well, yes, actually, I will say it again and I will repeat. And Lawrence is from Virginia, West by God, Virginia. Interesting.
Lawrence from Virginia.
So I will repeat something that I said earlier in this episode. So yes, great. You've got mentors, whatever, but don't get so wrapped up into what these mentors and so-called gurus say that you start to lose the passion and fire for what you are putting out. That there's a fine line, don't cross that line, just keep your fire, even if it takes a little bit longer, even if that means less people are going to see your post. If it's what you are passionate about and it's your truth and it's what you want to put out, go for that, because that's where, that's where the work is no longer work for you. It is a joy to do. And when you lose that joy, now it's work. So there you go.
Very cool.
Yes. Love that, Ken. Love that. Thank you so much. And Lawrence has popped his YouTube link in here. Well done, Lawrence.
Yes.
YouTube.com /@LarryKing6446. That is not 69.96. That is 64.46, but it may help you remember 64.46. And that has nothing to do with anything, but I just like the number 69. So there you go. Anyway, Ken's shaking. He's also got blogtalkradio.com/Lawrence-J-King. Oh my gosh. Darren's taking himself here. Okay. And Ken's shaking his head. He goes, oh, yes, this is just like the green room conversations we have. Look, I have European blood, okay? We are passionate people. Says you don't have to stalk me, but I bet you'll be stalking me, Lawrence, after this. Now I've mentioned the number 69. Anyway, so
wow.
These things, people get all excited. Anyway, it's absolutely perfect. Whoever's hopped on live, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you joining us live today. And he says now, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that right now, Lawrence. It's a bit early for me to be jumping into anything. However, feel free to reach out and send me a message. He says yes, baby.
Oh my goodness.
You're seeing it right now. Live.
I'm going to get out
Total Truth Show.
Well done, Lawrence. I love that. Absolutely legendary. And I've got a stress ball here too, just to relieve a bit of tension. It's been a while, Anyway, so moving right along. Thank you so much for joining us live. And if you've enjoyed the show, let us know what you've got out of the show today. And it's important to not just educate people, but to have some fun, to entertain people as well. And, the main thing is we've had a great time here today. We've had a great time playing with ourselves and having fun. So hopefully you've had a great time playing with yourself at home as well. And enjoying this show. So remember, anything is possible for you, okay? If other people have done it, you can do it too. And look forward to seeing your podcast, your episodes. Pop them in the comments. Share the love if you've enjoyed this. And remember to come and check out our shows and come and stalk us online. We really don't mind. We don't mind. Thank you so much. Signing out now for Total Truth Show episode 42, the truth about everything. Yes, Lawrence, maybe we'll get you on one of our shows if you want to be a guest. Reach out, Lawrence, if you want to be a guest.
Lawrence, you should reach out to some of us here because we would love to interview you and get you on the Total Truth Show.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah. I mean, you can tell so much by someone from what they're writing, right? Of their personality. So I can see why you've got so many followers, Lawrence. So I can't wait to check out your show. So I'll be doing that. Thank you so much once again. Blessings to you. Lots of love and have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world. We'll be back soon. Total Truth Show. Remember to like our Facebook page and keep letting us know what you want for the show as well. And if you want to come on as a guest, reach out to myself or Ken as well. We're always looking for great guests to talk about the truth about all sorts of topics. Okie dokie. Lawrence says, okay, we're going to have Lawrence here. Yay, Lawrence King. Look out for our episode with Lawrence King coming up in the next few episodes. Lawrence King from West by God, Virginia. Is that actually West by God? I think there's not a place called West by God. It's West Virginia, right? Is that what he means? I don't know.
No, I think I understand the phrase that he's putting out. He's putting out basically it's West Virginia he's from, and so he's just going West by God, Virginia.
Okay. Well, whatever works for you.
I get it though. I got it.
If that makes you happy, you throw that by God in there. I love it. All right. Thank you so much once again. We'll see you again soon here on Total Truth Show.
Bye.
Thanks, Darren.